comrades of the press, friends, and pressmen. We are happy to be with you. It's been a long time. We officially launched the campaign. The president was in Chipinge on a historical occasion where he was launching the campaign of ZANU PF. We want to salute our president for the decision to go to Mutema in Chipinge. The president, as you will remember, went to the war at the crucible, right at the crucible incubation of the armed struggle. He was one of the first people to volunteer to become a comrade when the army did not even exist. He has been lucky to survive all this long. Now, with so many years in the struggle, in all its aspects, training, fighting, jail, going back to war the second time. You don't go to war twice from experience. Yes. I went there. You go to war once, you don't want to go back, but you went back in 1977 and become the special advisor to the then president of ZANU PF. But it started off in ZAPU, our president. So he knows the two parties which are now the Patriotic Front. He has got a long memory. He's an institutional memory of the struggle. So from his perspective, he has been able to assess, in hindsight, the performance of the various comrades, including the top leadership of the party at various times. And he has done fair justice to the struggle, to the history of the struggle, by conferring national hero status to the founder of ZANU PF, Comrade Davaning Shakandwana Sitole. This is proper because there was a lot of emotions over the years about his status. Some saying yes, some saying no. But from his vantage point of institutional memory, he has decided to correct what was a historical anomaly and conferred him with hero status. We are very happy, and it was proper that we go to Mutema, to Chipinge, so that the people of Chipinge, who were at the forefront of some of the cadres of the armed struggle from the beginning, could be honored by the president to say, this is your man, he did his part for Zimbabwe, he was a pioneer, and his history cannot be rubbed. And we want to hail the president for that unifying aspect. He said no one will be left behind. So not only is he doing it for living people, not only is he doing it for those who died in the struggle, but he's also doing it for the leadership of the struggle. We are becoming an all-inclusive society. And we are belated. We are now in the midst of our campaign. We will be giving you press briefings regularly. This time, notwithstanding that both of us are candidates, we will make sure that we give you posted. We were going through primaries. They were bruising sometimes primaries. We had to fight. And you know, when it is hot, you take off your jacket. When it is even hotter, you take off your shirt. When it is hottest, you take off even your jersey, your vest. So the campaign is something which is closer to me and him. We had to take care of business within the party. That's why we're absent. But now the gloves are off against the main enemy. We think that we have to spend more time to keep you posted of events which are happening. So the absence will be corrected. And for my sins, I'm going to make sure that all of you get some lunch from me today. For my sins of absence. So after this, we have lunch as usual. The general elections, the campaign for ZANU PF is going very well. The president started with Chipinge, which is the home of the Reverend Abaning Sitole, the one who founded ZANU Forces. He has since gone to Mat South, where there is a plethora of illustrious leaders of the armed struggle, I think per capita, no province contributed as much to the top leadership of the cadreship of ZANU PF as did Mat South, the father of the armed struggle himself, the father of the liberation politics. Dr. Mkabu is from Mat South. J.Z. Moyo, the other founder of the Liberation Army ZIPRA, his counterpart from the ZANU side was Chitepo. They are the ones who formed the first cadres, the first armed cadres of what is now the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. He came from Mat South. There are others whom the president was mentioning. So it was befitting that we went to Bulilima and the rally was held over the weekend. I'm happy that this weekend, coming weekend, he goes again to the other province, which is home of one of our founding fathers of Zimbabwe, the first prime minister and the first president of the republic. He will be in Chinhoyi in March West. You know, I'm the top politician of March West, the Politburo member, and we are ready to welcome the president. We want to show to the president that we in March West were delighted, we're happy that for 38 years the whole country supported a leader who came from March West, President Robert Mugabe. He's from March West. Now that the other province is providing leadership, we want to pay back the support which the other provinces gave to the First Republic by supporting President Mugabe for so long. In supporting the second president of the Republic, President E.D. Mnangagwa. So Mashonaland West owes a debt of loyalty and gratitude to Zimbabwe. And we will be turning out, we are appealing to Mashonaland West to turn out in big numbers to say, if you Zimbabweans could support a leader from March West for so long, we in March West will support 100% the leadership of the party from another province, because we are one united country. So the big feast is in March West on Saturday. We hope all of you come, and we will see a resounding welcome of the President of the Republic, the chief campaigner, our the best foot forward candidate for ZANU PF, President E.D. Mnangagwa, this weekend. Then we'll be proceeding to other provinces after that. This is the smooth machinery of ZANU PF. You see, even now the Politburo members have started also campaigning in their own right in support of the president in various provinces, so that as much as possible we reach out to the electorate. Ours is a united party. We are cadres of the revolution. People talk a lot about differences within our party, but they underestimate the cohesive aspect of ZANU PF. Because we are seasoned cadres, we have gone through thick and thin. We know each other. Don't tell me about this leader against that leader against this one. Because we know each other as young people. We know each other as we were fighting. We know our messages are full of goodwill messages to each other, whether there's a death, whether there is somebody sick in the family. We know each other. This is in contrast to the other party, which is a collection of upstart young men from Norway who need to start getting to each other, but they can't. They spend more time quarreling because all of them wake up with the name "I'm the president" on their chest, and they look into the mirror, "I'm the president." If he's not president, he starts quarreling with his rival from the same party. So we have Nelson Chamisa quarreling against Welshman Nube, quarreling against BT, quarreling against Monzora, quarreling. I mean, it's a hotbed of quarrels. The other party, it can never, because it lacks that organic aspect which ZANU PF acquired in 6 decades in the trenches through different stages of the struggle. They don't have that. They are grafted together by Westerners. Now, there's something which is very interesting which has happened. By the way, a whole crop of billionaires have been coming to Zimbabwe of late for lithium. There are about 4 or 5 top billionaires in the lithium industry. And as I speak to you, the president is in Goromonzi. We are already exporting lithium concentrate for the batteries for these phones. These are the same, this battery in this phone is the same battery which runs the cars at BYD workshop on the way to the airport. You saw that workshop, that showroom on the eastern side of the highway. It has got cars which are called BYD. This is the new mode of mobility, displacing fossil fuels with batteries. And BYD's batteries are the same as the ones in your phone, only bigger. That's the same with Tesla. That's the same with all electric cars. They are made of lithium, they are made of nickel, and they are made of cobalt. You see all those trucks coming from the DRC, low beds with flat cargo on the back. That's cobalt from the DRC. 60% of the world cobalt passes through Zimbabwe on the way to Mozambique to be made into batteries in China, in South Korea, in Japan. Now, Zimbabwe has got this bonanza of lithium, and it has attracted the top billionaires in the lithium industry of the world because of this importance of this metal in the making of batteries. And Zimbabwe has got Goromonzi now, it has got Bikita, it has got Sabi, that's Max Mind in Buera. For those who may not know, the more than 80 years of mining lithium in Kamativi, of mining tin. The other waste byproduct at that time, which had no use, is lithium. The tails, the tailings in Kamativi, it's lithium. So again, we are exploiting that. There is Zulu mine. You were reading about another billionaire from China who was in the latest billionaire to be coming to looking for this lithium is none other than Tesla's boss, Elon Musk. He has sent overtures to our president, and our president has sent a message to him. I know that, to say if he wants to come to Zimbabwe and do lithium, it's an open season. After all, he's a son of the region. He's originally South African, Elon Musk, that top billionaire now in the whole world. He wants to be part of the game, but he has got wider interests too. He's Afrikaner, and we've had Afrikaner farmers in Zimbabwe because we are, and he feels an affinity to them. He wants all the issues about the land reform in Zimbabwe, the settlement of the 3.5 billion. He's interested because he just wants peace and prosperity for the region. So we are having that other billionaire, and as I speak, one of the top businessmen from Britain who is a billionaire is actually in the country, Branson of Virgin Airways. He is savoring the tourist delights of Zimbabwe in the Zambezi Valley, Mana Pools, and all the other areas. So you can see what the president has done to make this country become a favorite visiting ground for billionaires. This is what president has done. These are movers and shakers. They make the world go around. Bill Gates usually used to have a holiday in Pamshana in the south of the country. Bill Gates, and maybe, it is because he set the precedent. So all these billionaires are coming to Zimbabwe. I am talking of a wholesome, virtuous cycle of goodwill, which the president now exercises among world-class businessmen about Zimbabwe. It's a good thing. Those who had thought that Zimbabwe would remain a pariah, no, it has changed completely. Zimbabwe is the favorite destination. We are hoping that maybe the retired Mr. George Soros, who used to fund a lot of the negative press about Zimbabwe, something called the Open Society Institute of Southern Africa, or CISA. Yeah, a lot of people are on payroll, brown envelopes were coming from OSISA. This opposition was supported by OSISA, Anabiti, Anafarai Magu, all those people who are the favorite detractors, I mean the favored detractors of the West, they used to revolve around George Soros. I'm told he retired, and his son Alexander Soros is now the one who is in charge of the big foundation. I think 7 billion he had when he broke the back of England, and he raised a lot of money for himself as what is called a hedge fund manager. A hedge fund is somebody who raises capital and invests in risky projects for high returns in finance. That's what a hedge fund. So he's called the king of the hedge funds, putting money all over projects in the world and failing governments sometimes, like he did, in certain countries, but also just making sure that some governments which he doesn't like ZANU PF, are constantly being harried and harassed. That's what George Soros has always been up to. He retired in June, and his son has retrenched 40% of the global staff of the Open Society Foundation. Now there are about 7,000 NGOs in this country, and all of them were dipping in George Soros' Open Society Institute of Southern Africa. There are a lot of unemployed people who are our detractors. I'm giving you an open secret. So we expect, as this election goes, that there will be gnashing of teeth by an unfunded opposition, because their main benefactor has decided there's been a change of guard at the George Soros Open Society Institute of Southern Africa. There's been a change of guard at the top of the institution. It means less money for detractors. So if you see your brown envelope no longer coming, the source is dried up, the source of funds. 40% retrenchment by George Soros Foundation is not a joke. I'm repeating this because it has a bearing, because so much money was spent by George Soros trying to fight ZANU PF. He saw himself as in the image of Cecil John Rhodes. He said, I will take over this country as did in 1890, particularly after the year 2000. It has come to naught. It has come to naught. So we are very happy that other billionaires of a different mind, like Joe Branson, are in Zimbabwe. Maybe he can see opportunities which are the president has created, and we see we want more money, because we want Zimbabwe to become a prosperous country which produces world-class goods made in Zimbabwe for the global market. This is the wholesome effect, the virtuous effect of the policies of our president in 5 years. He has dramatically changed the whole business and geopolitical landscape of Zimbabwe. He's welcomed by his leaders in the region. You see, in many places, he is being invited to help to try to quieten or shut the guns in Africa. He's been to Angola for the Great Lakes. He's been made to put some hand in the Sudan conflict. His knowledge about conflict resolution is everywhere. By the way, I think it is Father Mario Zupo in Mozambique. He was there the other day when finally Renamo was saying that they have surrendered their arms. He was there. You remember him, he spent 9 months in Rome negotiating the peace deal between Renamo and Frelimo back in the 1990s. And Father Mario Zupo, who was his colleague in those peace talks in Rome at the Vatican, is also the Pope's envoy now to try to resolve the conflict in Ukraine. So this is the level of exposure which our president has, whether it be national, whether it be regional, whether it be local. Why am I saying this? I want you to give a contrast. We have a young man who knows nothing. All he can say, God is in it. God is in it. That's his slogan. When he looks at any challenge, he turns to prayer and says, God is in it. Well, that's okay to turn to prayer. I also, believe in the supernatural. But the supernatural is, one never knows when it actually answers to your prayers, But the president, he does practical things out of a historical mission and out of institutional memory built over the years. This is the candidate which ZANU PF is offering. This is the other candidate which the opposition is offering. We are trying to find him on the campaign trailer. We can't, MCCC. I don't know, they say they campaign at night. I mean, it's still Shasha Pungwe, guys. So, when we were in the war, Pungwe was the mainstay because the whites had aeroplanes and binoculars and helicopters, and during the day, they were blind at night. So the war veterans, the comrades, the guerrillas operated at night. We are masters of campaigning at night. If ever it was true that they were campaigning at night, we would have joined them and beaten them at that game. But we don't want to disturb people's sleep. This is peacetime. We campaign in a peaceful manner. So it's not, we are not seeing the CCC candidates, campaign on the ground. That is why the detractors have resorted to creating a phantom candidate, because they feel that there is a yawning gap in the ranks of the opposition. And you know who the phantom candidate is? None other Savior Kasukuwere. He is being touted as a candidate. We are saying, until you put your feet on the ground and start campaigning in Zimbabwe, we don't view you as a candidate. They, trying to have press to appear to campaign on the South African press. You are not appealing to the voter in Zimbabwe. There is no voting booth at SABC in South Africa, because our voter is polling station based. If you are not at a polling station in your area, you can't vote. That's why the diaspora cannot vote unless they come back home and go to their respective registration centers. But Kasukuwere goes to the SABC and to Econet station, not Econet, multi-choice station. He starts campaigning there to create a diversion, not so much for the voters in Zimbabwe, but to impress the funders outside, like the Open Society Institute of Southern Africa. You see your image in the mirror at SABC, but you are not being present on the ground in Zimbabwe. You are absent. Then you hit your chest, I'm campaigning because SABC has given you mileage. No, that's not where the voting booth is. Our president is stamping the grounds in Zimbabwe. That's why I gave you the instances where he has been physically on the ground meeting the electorate. And you saw the crowds which are turning up to ZANU PF. I don't know how many crowds you can show. You can turn up at an SABC newsroom. Anyway, we have sent our teams. Our Minister of Information was there, and she has exorcised the ghost of Ana Lumumba and all these people who pretend to be spokespersons of a candidate who is non-existent on the ground. So we won't comment much about Kasukuwere as a candidate until he puts his feet on the ground in Zimbabwe, and of course the law of the land for the many things which he has done, which he knows he has done, we will not be watching by. They will look at his record of the many things, infractions which he has done. By the way, it was none other than an American ambassador called Bruce Wharton in 2007 who labeled Kasukuwere a thug. Remember the story of Gift Mtandar, young man? Is it Gift Tandar? Yeah, the young man who was shot, and then his body was, stolen and staked out to be buried out in Mount Darwin without the consent of his parents. Remember when there was that altercation between MDC and ZANU PF in 2000, and the young man got shot. Kasukuwere's footprint seems to have been there, and I'm talking on the evidence of the American embassy, which went public when the American ambassador said Kasukuwere is a thug. This is Ambassador Bruce Wharton. I'm sure the Zimbabwean intelligence services must have good record of all those things. This is among the many things which the law enforcement and peace enabling agents of this country may have on him. So before he even thinks of many other things, he's got a lot of hurdles to clear with the laws of this country, the criminal law of this country, and the law enforcement agencies of this country. So please don't waste your time on a phantom candidate. Don't ask our questions about him. He is not a candidate on the ground. We can't build up an image of somebody for the sake of it. We would rather concentrate on somebody who is a candidate, who is President Idi Mnangagwa. So Chamisa is not appearing. He's on the ground, he's in the country, but he's nowhere to be seen. There are too many fights which he has got to smother within his own party. The fight against BT, the fight against the candidates who was his selection of candidates was not open, was not democratic. There are a lot of disgruntled people. Even his own election agents supporting other agents in double candidates. So he has got to sort that out. He's busy with the courts, trying to sort himself out in his party. At the same time, he wants to be busy with the electorate. And where is your vote? Is it with the judges or is it with the electorate? So anyway, he's too busy. He's got too many irons in the fire. So that leaves the only candidate and the only united party, ZANU PF, which is campaigning. And we take the job of campaigning very, very seriously because we fought for this democracy. I lost my teenagehood fighting for this democracy. I will not accept lessons from George Soros or the West about democracy because I know how to fight for it in the most painful. And my memory is etched with many young people who never made it back home for the fight of democracy. No lessons from the West. We don't accept it, and our president has said it time and over again. We are a homegrown democracy. We will faithfully conduct elections because it is what Zimbabwe people want. We are the first liberation movement to go into a democratic election, to be baptized for our military victories by the support of the people in 1980. We had to have an X to be baptized, not just military victory. We didn't go from bullet to office, we went from ballot to office. So we are proud of our democratic traditions as ZANU PF, and we are showing the credentials. We are happy that the EU has come to the party. They are not trying to give lectures. You heard the statement of Ambassador of the EU the other day. He says, yes, we had recommendations, but we have no strictures for the Zimbabwe government. They are respecting our sovereignty. Here's our president's success again, engagement and re-engagement, where those who at one time were askance about Zimbabwe, they are now willing to give us a chance. And I remind, in February, I had a visit from the American embassy, and they said they will be neutral in this election. Whoever wins, they will support. So we have no reason to try to spoil a good party. We will not have a fly in the ointment of a good election because of violence or anything else, because the story is moving in our direction in a good manner. Please. What interest would we have in violence? because all the people who used to not like us, they are liking us. We are the good boys now. You know, we are glorying in being seen as the good boys. So we will be happy to continue to conduct ourselves in a manner which shows that we are the good boys and the good girls of this election. What am I saying? The president says no violence ever in this election, because it besmirches ZANU PF. It's not in our interest. When somebody whom you used to move around with decides to say, I'm now neutral, you realize, chachaya, because the one whom you were hating now says, neutral. It's like, neutral, because the movement from being against me to being neutral is a positive direction in my favor. So, by the Americans saying they are neutral from being adversarial, it means they are pro-ZANU PF. in a manner which they were not before. It means they are critical of the other side. That's why they are distancing themselves by saying we are neutral. It's a condemnation of the CCC because they are being found to be useless as a party. Havana chavari kudeliver. And I'm sure some of the challenges which they are facing now because of the loss of money from Open Society Institute of Southern Africa, the loss of support from the American National Democratic Endowment for Democracy, is telling because they don't have the capacity to pay for their even candidates. I was registering in Chinoy. We were to wait until midnight to waiting for a CCC candidates to finally be said they've got money. They were inside but without money. I'm not even sure whether it's legal. I'm not sure. You know, if because to be a candidate, you must have your form and your money. Kunyebe. Ukaenda ku city council kana kuenda ku airport win a form usina mari uchida kutenga ticket. Are you a passenger? If you are going to buy a ticket or in a booking, as I don't have money, will you be a passenger? Will you take a plane? I'm not very sure whether because they were to wait until 12. And in instances in Bulawayo, we had to go the next day. They were given concessions by ZEC, which is keen to show that they are inclusive and facilitative. That's what ZEC wants to show. But I'm not sure whether it's very legal. And there will be a lot of candidates from ZANU PF who may want to question that. And I think the judges, the electoral court may have something to address on that issue. Because you can't be inside with a form but without money and say you're a candidate. So there's shortage of funds, even to support candidates to register. And I saw it with my own, because George Soros is no longer paying, and because the Western countries have decided to become neutral. So if you are neutral, maybe you are not paying any money anymore. Because neutral means somebody is not, they may not offer a check. And you know the result now? They are on a fundraising campaign which is almost extortionate. Listen to the complaints of the small business people in the urban areas. The CCC is asking US dollars everywhere, this and that. They are terrorizing the SME sector in order to try to raise money for the elections, because they are using the fact that they own the urban administrations. So they now want the urban people whom they get rates from, which they used to pay themselves. They don't repay with services. Garbage is everywhere, sewage is everywhere, dysentery, cholera. You know what dysentery and cholera means? It means you are drinking sewage, less water. And it's happening in urban areas. In Chegutu, we had to create it in also all urban areas. That's where most of the cholera is. So sewage, less water in urban areas means dysentery and cholera. Who is in charge of those urban areas? 22 years of incompetence, of corruption is CCC. The harvest is cholera and dysentery and other waterborne diseases. Now you are going to campaign to those people to say, vote for me. When there's a comparison of what ZANU PF is doing in rural areas, there's prosperity. Did you see what happened at the tobacco auction floors? $800 million paid out to tobacco farmers. 180,000 registered families in the rural areas. My US dollar matter. This is going to ZANU PF. Where's my piece? Pana $100 note. I don't know $100 note. We have $100 notes. All of them, they are new. Yeah, show me one. All of them are new. They may be old $10 notes and $1 notes. But you bring my piece, I show you. Do you know the story of the new $100 notes which are coming to Zimbabwe? I know it's they are new. All of them. In fact, I'm afraid when I'm touching them, I get bent. Actually, they are new. you know where these are printed? They are printed in New York. These are not printed by the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. 80% of the transaction, it's campaign. 80% of the transaction, you want money for the campaign. 80% of the transactions already in Zimbabwe, they are in US dollars, coming straight from New York. They are not a gift of the American Zimbabwe government to Zimbabwe, these notes. They are earned by Zimbabwe on the market. They are printed in New York. They come by plane to Dubai. The plane leaves Harare, goes to Dubai carrying gold. There is an exchange in Dubai. The plane comes back carrying new unpegged US dollar notes. Don't listen to those nicompops who are saying the gold is smuggled. No, the only player who trades gold in Zimbabwe is the Reserve Bank. And they do it legally. Vane ma accounts ku Dubai. Ma accounts are not zikanwa ma bank. I gonna stories anzana you beten gel nanan. Those are stupid stories. This true story is the central bank is the one which trades gold on behalf of Zimbabwe. That's why that story about Al Jazeera and gold mafia came to naught. Because the Reserve Bank is the trader, not those guys. No. So, but the detractors had reached on to that story thinking that there's something against ZANU PF for the election campaign. It came to naught because everybody who is in the gold trade is getting paid. If there was looting, somebody would not go and dig gold anymore. So these notes are coming from New York, arrive in Dubai. We sell gold, they come to Zimbabwe. Gold is money for 5,000 years of history. It's the oldest money the world has ever known consistently. It is money. And America is only 300 years old. People were trading for 5,000 years. America is such a people. They were not using this currency. I'm scoffing at those people who are saying we can't have a national currency because we need US dollars. It's nonsense. Great Zimbabwe was built by gold before America was born. Kami in Bulawayo was built by gold. Dana Mombe was built by gold before America was born. So these false economies are not they are political commissars of neoliberals. They are not economists. We are producing gold. Wafana 3 million are producing gold. That's why the president was in Gweru. ED minus for ED. And Papa was not the G motor and my GD GD6 Akazara. You know, you are here, my robber is an was 20,000 Kuruzeva. So we are earning gold from nothing in 2016. The president, in mind, the way I told you the other day, he was the champion of supporting the war veterans to legitimize young people as legitimate gold miners. Gold before 2016. Gondo Arishai, yaenda kumamisha kumakoma ichitandanisa vanadiki vaichera gold. After 2016, I went into cabinet. He supported the war veterans resolution. We jumped from less than 3 tons. Young people are at 25 tons of gold. This is good money. In kwenda kuna wafana warikuchera enzonzi ZANU PF aina create mabasa. Tina wafana 3 million warikuisa gold itama US notes amuri kuona arikupiwa arikutorwa arikuendwa nevafana warikuchera gold. Zonzi hakuna basa. Hong Kong is looking for this gold. Dubai is looking for this gold. Shanghai, Mumbai, they are all looking for this gold. Anza wanabasa munarukutambira US dollar richisupporta Musowa Tunya richisupporta pre-governor ku central bank. This is what the president has done to support our currency with gold. Countries trade to any hard currency. Don't think yes, to any hard currency. These gadgets sell them with any hard currency. Zimbabwe, we trade, we sell tobacco, we sell lithium, we sell this to any hard currency. But tine chimwe chidobi chisina dzimwe nyika. Vafana vanochera mari pasi all over the country. We dig money in gold in Zimbabwe. That's why we are going to be strong. We don't need America's money. Because before America came, we had money already called gold. And in Zimbabwe, gold is everywhere. And the Second Republic, Mnangagwa, he has made gold digging one of his focal economic planks from 2016, when it was the First Republic, but fortified it after 2018 by making sure that the price of gold in Dubai is the same in Zimbabwe. No more smuggling of gold. Yes, we are going to the central bank. That's why our currency is getting strong. That's why the Minister of Finance now says pay in Zimbabwe dollars. Because we got enough US dollars in the market for you to earn the US Zimbabwe dollars and go and pay my taxes, to go and pay this. Saka MDC yanga yajara kubira vanhu kuma triple C vachibira vanhu kuma town vachivapesa US dollar. Chachaya ngavaenda vanotsvaga Zimbabwe dollar tidzosere mari yedu. These are creating the hardships for the opposition, but they are creating a boon for the Zimbabwean consumer. We are restoring our currency. These are the achievements of the Second Republic, Mnangagwa, supporting our currency. And China, they are trying to do the petrol you want in Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is no longer happy with America, because America is a net exporter of fossil fuels. So Saudi Arabia used to support the US dollar since 1971, when Nixon signed an agreement with Saudi Arabia, hence the petrodollar agreement, that the most traded commodity in the world, which is fuel, is traded in US dollars, not in pounds or not in gold. That's why America and Saudi Arabia were friends. But now America exports as a fuel and competes with Saudi Arabia. That's why the pipeline is bombed in the north, in Kutivasa oil here to Russia. So Saudi Arabia is no longer happy with America, because we are a competitor in the same commodity. We would rather deal with India, would rather deal. What does it mean? Why am I saying this? It means the US dollar is no longer as popular as it used to be, because the major importers of fuel are China and India, and they don't want to use the US dollar. They want to use the petro rupee, Indian money, or the petro yuan, Chinese money. Saga, I'm debunking those who are saying that we must continue to use the US dollar in our economy. Madofo, they don't know basic finance 101. We dig money, gold in this country, and the president and the central bank and the minister of finance are right to say, let's use the Zimbabwe dollar because it is supported by the gold, not US dollar. These are the successes which will make the population go and vote for the ZANU PF. We are rescuing our dollar. It's getting stronger and stronger every time on the market. This is a big success. Vanga vajaira kuti we go to the elections each time, but when we elections they weaken the Zimbabwe dollar. So the opposition in this country was the currency, manipulated by the likes of George Soros against ZANU PF. Ruendo runo chachaya, we were vigilant. Wanyangira yaona, hakuna zvakadaro. Our Zimbabwe dollar is actually going to continue to strengthen as we go to the elections, and we will restore it forever as the currency of circulation for Zimbabwe, because it is supported by gold digging by young people. We want to jump from 35 tons to 60 tons, to 100,000, to 100 tons. And you know where the price of gold is going? Maybe to $3,000 per ounce. I was in Hong Kong 3 weeks ago. The Hong Kong Gold Exchange wants Zimbabwe gold. I was in Shanghai. The Shanghai Gold Exchange wants Zimbabwe gold. There is a gold conference which is going to be held in China in September, Gold Association, the Whole World Gold Association Conference. It has never been held in China before. It used to be held only in Canada, in Australia, in UK, in America, and South Africa, and maybe Russia, I don't know. The first time it is going to be held in China, outside of those countries, because China is now is #1 gold producer and the #1 gold trader. There will be an army of young people from Zimbabwe going to China. Kunodai vaira vachitiri kutengesa gold. Ipapo pamamonya ipapo vemuZimbabwe vanenge varipo, because they are producing gold, the natural money of the world. This is the beauty of the cleverness of President Mnangagwa's monetary policies. And they've done a big fatal blow to those who have always tried to use the Zimbabwe currency as a weapon during elections. This time it won't work, because the president has been vigilant and has been preparing methodically since 2016 for this day, for this eventuality. Hakuna zvokuti anachamisa vachakambeni vachiti vanhu inflation yapedza vanhu, because we are correcting by producing more gold. These are things which I want you to highlight to the people, to the world, to understand that Zimbabwe is on a winning streak and nothing is going to stop us. That's why the West are saying, if you can beat Zimbabwe, join them. That's why we are getting all sorts of goodwill messages from the West. Tawina, Zimbabwe, we have defied sanctions, we have won. And this election will be an endorsement, a ringing endorsement of a heroic people who have withstood the forces of Goliath for the past 2 decades. And the forces of David have won. And they are going to be endorsing ZANU PF in the elections to come. We are also happy because I told you a structured party, very structured and organized. You don't win a war against the Rhodesians supported by the Americans and the British and the EU, and the NATO, unless you get organized. So our systems as a party are organized. The other party is disorganized. We are already celebrating winning the elections before people have gone to vote. So many uncontested candidates, particularly at local council level. 74. And I think even some more at even the National Assembly. We have one already. Before ZEC has opened the ballot, we are already one. This is a pointer to the landslide which is coming. Why? Because the other party has no support. Why? Because the other party is disorganized. Because they have no history of organization. Why? Because they are funders. The Americans and the British have abandoned them. Why? Because George Soros, who used to be their underwriter, has now decided to throw in the towel, and his son Alexander is not interested in funding any more of this nonsense which his father was doing, wasting money on people who are pretending to win elections when they are lining up their pockets. Asking, all these years of being funded, Mataunda ane China, hakuna mafactory matsva, garbage yakazara everywhere, mapotholes akazara everywhere, vanhu vari kunwa mvura ine sewage vachiita decently. Imi muchitonga muchiti muri kupiwa mari. Can you account for that money with a population? So when the vice president went to Mbari the other day, the turnout of young people was huge. This is an electorate which Yangans na Triple C did. That's why Chamisa was making sure that his favorite candidates are in urban areas, and those he doesn't want, he was pushing them out to rural areas where they will lose. Now Chachaya kana kumatown kwacha akuchina refugee vakaisa vacho matown vacharuza futi. They are going to lose because people in the urban areas have opened their eyes to say for 22 years these were incompetent rulers. Wokuti kana muida kunovhota munoti tiri kurwisa ZANU PF. Kana kutonga matadza kutonga moti tiri kutadziswa neZANU PF. Kumadiku uchigara kumba musavhoterwa. If you are going to be impotent councillors, if you are going to be eunuch councillors, because ZANU PF is going to make you fail to run cities, just as well don't go and be voted, because you are lying to the candidates that you are going to service them when you know that ZANU PF is going to make you fail. Kunyeba, the hypocrisy has been exposed. So we are going to have a harvest of urban votes this time. And the president had title deeds where he's going to empower rural urban people in a major scale. It has never happened. That one Homa town vakuenda kubank kunoita securitize dzimba dzavakazvivakira vachipiwa mari nemabank. We have a big mortgage industry coming out of houses which were built by developers which had no title. Now they have title, and people can go to the bank and say, I pledge my house and I get a loan. Muchaona ma renovations achaitwa dzimba dzakudhara. Muchaona vanhu vachivaka dzimba itsva. Macarpenters achaita basa ramusati mamboona mumataundi muno vachirenovata dzimba, because there is a new liquidity by the financial inclusivity yaitwa nechi iri kuitwa nematitle deeds. Zvidodo zviri kuitwa naMnangagwa kuti upenyu hwevanhu hunakidze. Kusaidi kwana Chamisa zero, kunongone God is in it. God is in it. Mahere say God is in it. God helps those who help themselves. That's what the Bible says. Now, just the reason why I'm having my homemate, Anobakumash West, but that's not the reason why he's here. I mentioned it earlier on. They went out, but there are so many coming back. He is one of the biggest campaigners now for the party. Kurwira party kuti win my elections. He knows Kasukuwere very well. But he looked at that young man and saw that there's nothing in that young man. All he can say is the Kambozwana na Amgabi and Raifamba na Grace. That's his card. Tom Vunza kuti zvinozo wakuda kuita Mugabe kupfuura Bona. Wakuda kuita Mugabe kupfuura Robert Jr. Wakuda kuita Mugabe kupfuura the young man Hamzatu. Ichatunga. Iwe Kasukuwere. Baba wako ndi Josiah. I know his father kanda kambokurira kuMount Darwin. His father was a security officer of Murungu IMG's Native Commissioner in the Stavros. Stavros was the king of Mount Darwin. Like the Nichols were the king of Chinoi. Remember the Nichols, Native Commissioner Mazwaya Varungu. Baba Wakasukuwere waisenzera Murungu in the Stavros, wari security office. Ndakamboenda ndakandiri mwana mudiki ndakanogara kuMount Darwin ndibva kuMondoro kumusha kwangu. Saka ndotoziya kuti baba wake vanonzi Josiah, security officer wa Stavros. He does not want to be associated with ndiri mwana wa Josiah. He wants to say kuti ndiri wa Robert Mugabe. Anyway, imbosiyo Bona na Tino na Robert. Vamboti ndisi vana ngale baba amai vachipo. These are the proper inheritors of the Mugabe mantle, not Kasukuwere. I worked with Mugabe for 75, but I got a demonstration per university. That's when I went to Highfield. He went in March, I went in July. I received Mugabe Bajunda ku Mozambique ndina ka organizer kuti timpe chikafu. Achibva musango tatanga kusvika ku Mozambique bosa akaenda esacha yasununguka. Isitakazoenda yasununguka takatambirwa neFrelimo yanga asina kutambirwa. He was thin. He was emaciated nenzara. Isusu wanga wabva kuuniversity aiwa mutambire pakembi yepazhunda. I've worked with Mugabe. I've been his ambassador. I've been his minister. So before the war and after the war, I don't go about ndichiti ndini Mugabe, ndini wokwa Mugabe. I've got better claims to be associated with Mugabe. Amunangagwa upenyu hwavo hwesina Mugabe. Nemujeri. He doesn't go about achiti ndini Mugabe. Kasukuwere ndinokwa Mugabe, Ndeki reminded him the other day aenda kuZulu Natal. Kwarongwa inonzi Mugabe memorial. Kasukuwere sutunu baba kuda kuti I'm here with the zvikana Ndeki iwe. Ndakauya kuZimbabwe in 1980. Wandakanzitaura naye naMugabe ndimunangagwa. Ndiye akati deployera makeders emukondo wesizwe kuti tirwise varungu. Munangagwa kwete iwe. But ada kufamba achiti hanzi ndiri wa Mugabe kufura manje makazoona president vane vana va Mugabe kuburira mangu. So we have he's here. You give a few words. He has been to the president and is busy campaigning for ZANU PF. He is one of many, but is Kasukuwere, because they don't want a phantom candidate. He has got his feet on the ground campaigning for the party. Yes. Kasukuwere ariko kwakeko. Tunamaya mchango wakamingira kwaenda kuma broadcast house ekuSouth wamtandanisa. Hapana akala kumuona kuma broadcast ekuSouth Africa. His campaign was supposed to be run from South Africa against, because they don't have an alternative figure. Ariku challenge President Chamisa has failed. So they were creating a phantom of Kasukuwere as a candidate. So that's why I brought Waka, and I want to thank the president for extending his welcome hand to all the S12 candidates. He has done a fantastic job, and this is how it should be. We are one family. No matter Zurana here and there, but at the end of the day, people of goodwill, patriots who love their country, they find each other. He's not a patriot, Kasukuwere. He's always there trying to. Maria Pereira, George Soros. There was a white man, and I'll tell you, he wrote a book as one of the top soldiers of the Rhodesian army. His name is Graham Wilson. His wife actually worked for the president by transition, because the president, remember, is the one who united all the armies. Graham Wilson comes to me because Kasukuwere averenga bhuku rake zvikanzi ndoda kunorwisa Amunangagwa, iwe wanga uri musoja akabva kuBritain weSpecial Air Services, ndiri kudawo 12 million, enda unotaura mabhururu ako ekuBritain kuti vandipe 12 million. I mean, the man is trying to get favors from the president because his wife used to work for the president, so that he can come back like all the white people. They are coming back home. Kasukuwere achiri kuvatsvaga using grudges of the war. Kuti Graham Wilson angamutsvagire 12 million. This is fact. That's the desperation yaKasukuwere. YenaKasukuwere kunotsvaga mari from former Rhodesian soldiers kuti ningawane kurwisa. And the Graham Wilson, so I'm one of the first people who joined, who formed CIO in 1980. So I worked with these people. So they tell me. So the president knows probably enough about what Kasukuwere is doing more than what he knows about himself. Because vanhu vese varikufamba vachitsvaga kuti vangamusapota against us vanouya vachipa ripoti kuna president. Kutaura varungu kwokutozoti vanhu vatema vari padhuze naye. We know he is transparent. And the South African government doesn't like him either. We are very happy with the statement from Minister Mbalula, Secretary General of ANC, openly denouncing Chamisa. Kuti you are a puppet, you are Chikudi. It happened last week. You saw it for yourself. They've always been trying to say ANC no triple C, irambe ZANU PF. Isitakafamba tese tiri mumakamba kuTanzania tichirwira nyika neANC. Ndakutaurirai President Mnangagwa achisangana naMbeki 1980 kusapota umukondo wesizwe kuti irwise kuSouth Africa vachihostwa neZANU PF. NaMnangagwa Chamisa suduru I mean na Kasukuwere hantoda kuti tinotora ANC kuita yedu. Zvingaite izvozvo. Isu tine history yese, iwe hauna kana history nako. Wakutaura kuti ndiwakuda kunzi udiwe saka ANC yabva yaramba. And by the way, they had a belief yekuti vanhu vese vari mudiaspora vakavenga ZANU PF. So they've been running a campaign yekuti kana ma-elections akuuya vatorere ma-permits vaende kumusha vagonovhota ane hasha against ZANU PF. Now they discovered kuti vanhu vese vari mudiaspora vari kufarira ZANU PF vari kuvakadzimba munomu because the president's economic policies are making everybody prosperous. Enda kumadokero imba isazeriwava nevanhu vokudiaspora varungu vese vakatiza in 1980, those who ran away whites in 1980, those who ran away in 1975, vazara vari kudzoka. I mean, islands. You know what's happening? Where there was one house for the white family, the children who are coming back, they destroyed the one house. They built 8 because mastendi mahombe akatorwa mazuva aya roads achatanga kuvaka Harare. So kwaislands kwese kuri kungovakwa kuma-detached houses. 2 anosara achigara nemhuri yake nevana vake. 6 out of 8 dziri kurendeswa ama-detached houses. That's why there's a massive construction going on in old stands from the colonial era population. They are coming back home. So if the white population is voting for the president, iwe Kasukuwere uchiti ndinorwisa president, unorwisa uinani? The white population is coming back. These are the good policies which ZANU PF have done. The return of our diaspora. The first one, the white one, in the 70s. The second one, the white one, in the 1980s. And the third one in 2000, the melted down one, after the land reform. They are all voting for home because the policies of the president are good. So there is a wholesome cake of goodies sprinkled inside the cake because of the policies of President Idi Mnangagwa in every aspect. Ma billionaire wodzoka, takuvaka ma steel plants. You know Manise is 90% complete. Manise steel plant, 90% complete. Anytime we can start, we just need to connect the electricity. We are going to be producing electricity, world class, I mean, iron, steel. Zimbabwe, by the best company in the whole world, will be producing and selling not to the Zimbabwe market alone, to the global market. Railways will have to be built. Power is being built. New towns are being built. New water reticulation to support a town of 40,000 people. Zviri kuitwa naMnangagwa in 4 or 5 years of his leader. Can you imagine what he's going to do if he comes back in after 23 August? Even more good is to make Zimbabwe an upper middle income society, as he has promised in his vision. So this is the complete electoral picture which ZANU PF is selling to the public, to the electorate, come elections. It will be a whitewash of the opposition. That's why they are being abandoned by those who used to support them. Akuchina achava support vanhu vakaona munhu anu zvinonzi opposition yanhuwa ukangonhuwa chete vanhu vanokutiza. And isusu vezanu PF tiri imbwa iri kuvhima ikangoruma ikambonanzva ropa mamhanyira inoita kuda kunopedzesa mhuka iyayi. So we feel that we have smelled blood. The Triple C is finished, and we are going to make sure that the electorate give them the fatal blow come elections 23 August 2023. Yes, and you know, because it's an open election, the president says, observers. Remember I told you, everybody is gunning for, everybody is voting for us. Everybody is bullish about the prospects of ZANU PF. So we are opening the observers. As observer, because those are just violence. This time invite my observers as a government. We can't invite observers when we want to hide some things or when we want to be involved in unseemly things. This is an attestation of the open nature about the elections which we are campaigning, which we are running this year. It's an open field. So we welcome the EU, which has already funded its organ. It has even established a team, Ambassador Jobst van Kekman. He has already announced the leader of their team. Remember, the problem we had last time was a Swedish guy, Scholl, I don't know, some Peter. He's the one who started condoming our elections 2 decades ago, and we went into a bad relationship with the EU. This time the EU is on a different footing. They've already announced their candidate. We are happy with that. We welcome them. And just the other day, they signed an agreement with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs about the observers. This is a good thing. We love our democracy. We fought for it. We don't want to hide. We don't want to hide a lamp under a bush. The lamp under a bucket. We are open. We put our light of our elections, everybody to see. So, good thing. Many election observers can come from all over. SADC has said it is coming. The IU is already becoming our traditional friends, but even the EU is coming here. We hope the Americans will follow suit soon. As they promised me in my office, they came to ZANU PF office for the first time in February to see me, to pledge that they are neutral in these elections. We are hoping that they live up to their billing, and the election observers will come and join those of the EU, and they will be part of the electoral bonanza of democracy which Zimbabwe is going to show to the world. This is what the president has done in 5 years of office. We expect him to do more after election. Okay. So, by and large, I think I've spoken a lot. I am happy to another good thing. The president is delivering on the war veterans. That's something dear to me. I'm the chairman. They've done so much. I was reminding you of what they did for the educational field in 1980. Pavakati my parents, vakaizvikoro mahara maticha, Kamarike government kapay my teacher. There were so many schools built by parents that there couldn't be enough teachers, even as we were training them home. We went back to Havana. We asked President Castro to start training teachers to catch up with parents building school. We trained 7,000 teachers in Havana after the war to catch up with parents building schools. That was done by the war veterans. That's why we are the most educated country on the African continent. Parents build school for free to get a teacher as a reward from Harare. That's why we're educated. The war veterans did that. The war veterans were behind the revival of the land reform and the revival of the tobacco sector. I was in China. I was central to the revival of the tobacco sector. And looked at $800 million US. The war veterans were the ones who were behind the resolution Egutima gold panas, Makorokoza, IT legitimate. 2013 Congress Kumashingo. 2016 they were legitimized in cabinet. I was in cabinet. On the short time and I can't go in cabinet. My needs are because Mama Kazara Madoff and Kasukuwere wafudzi vemombe wange vaiswa mucabinet naMugabe. This is the history of the war veterans. And the president has always felt that he owes to them, particularly for their support in 2017, Operation Restore Legacy. Yesterday, a whole slew of permits were given to my war veterans and to my chiefs, opening the mining sector at grassroots level to our people. They've proved it. 2/3 of the gold, 35 tons coming from Anadik. No support central bank the currency yedu. So it works. The president's economic policy of empowerment work. It's proven. So now he has decided to reward the war veterans. They've got a wall, mineral rights which they've been given. Chiefs have been given mineral rights. We want them to participate in this bonanza of mineral riches, which is Zimbabwe, to be seen to be participating. So we want to thank the president for walking the talk about making the war veterans be part of the economy. I work very hard as the chairman of the war veterans to get them the partners who they deserve, so that they also can make money. Says Ruita Vanadiki, and Scott Sakupanya, Anani Vesa, Varuita Mari. And the president, ita Mari, Vema demonstrations, Anachamisa, Mari. So this is what is happening. We want more, and they can work with their parents in the new projects, the future president, to grow the economy. These are huge infrastructure projects. Just last week, Mozambique signed an agreement with the same company, Steel Plant Maniz. We are going to build a new port in Beira in the next 3 years or so, with a railway line straight from Beira, a new one, in a new port, going to Maniz to export iron ore, to export steel. These are things which are happening. And the companies which are doing it, they are the best companies in the world. This particular one, Eguman, is a turnover 58 billion US dollars, 2 to 3 times bigger than the GDP of Zimbabwe. This is the quality of the leadership in business which the president is attracting. The best ones, because the resources in this country are good, but they've always been there. What was missing was good leadership to make sure that the resources are appreciated, the natural resources. And the President Mnangagwa, we have the best leader who can become an interface, a market of these good resources to competent world-class businessmen who are coming into Zimbabwe to produce world-class goods and services made in Zimbabwe for the global market. Achada kungotengesa kunze toda kutengesa kumusika ku Bolivia, toda kutengesa musika ku Havana, toda kutengesa kumusika ku Suriname. Zvinhu zvabva ku Zimbabwe. Womboendawo uchikwira ndege unoona chakanzi made in Zimbabwe kuma department store nema supermarket edzimwe nyika. This is what the president is doing, and along the way he's making young people make money. We should be looking at a crop of billionaires from Zimbabwe in the next 5 years. That's what the president is doing. So when we go to the vote, that's what we are selling to the electorate. Prosperity and hope. Prosperity and hope. Prosperity and hope. That's what we are selling to the electorate. I want to thank you, and I will entertain questions. Comrade Mashayom, you can just say a few words about your experiences since you came back to the fold of the party.
Okay.
You are one of the many. I just thought he should be represented because he has always been very active.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Spokesperson of the party, Mchangwa, Comrade Mugwadi, Tutuma Kurokoto. takaona makurukota zvakare kuma-spokesman, taona hama tusenator zvinofamba. Ndinoda kutenda, chokutanga ndinoda kutenda president waMnangagwa nezvakatiitira nedare ravo reportbiro mavice president zvichidzika kunhengo dzese dzepati kusvika munhengo yesero nekutitambira kwavakaita kuti tishande navo. Zvinhu zvinokudzwa chaizvo nesu macomrades takanga tichishanda tese zvakanaka mumusangano weZANU PF. Zvakaitika ngatitarisei mberi tishande pamwe chete kuti zvatinoda zvibudirire. Vamwe vanoziva tichinzi tisi maG40 handitika nezvakaitika 2017, asi chandinoda kutaura ndechekuti isusu nevamwe vangu tinawo vakawanda kumashure kwangu hatanga tisinini kuti tinotozvise kuti leadership yaitochinja mupati handitika. Kuuya kwakaita waMnangagwa hatina daka nako isusu, tinofanira kuti tizvisapoti semacomrades, tishande pamwe chete nemamwe macomrades edu. Masawiro edu nehama dzedu dzakawanda dzirimo muZANU PF, ndosaka maona takaita decision irori. Zvevari kude kumirawo vachikwikwidza sana comrade Kasukuwere comrade Kasukuwere takasangana muZANU PF, saka chakakosha kwatiri iZANU PF, hatisi kuzoteere munhu. Titori nevakawanda, ndichaita program yaticharonga spokesperson kuti titaure nevamwe kuti vasangane neutungamiri, musangane navo, mutaure navo, vangangonga vachifungirwa kunzi vangada kusapota zvakasukuwere, ivo vasiri kusapota izvozvo. Vapuwe basa rekuita mumusangano, vashandire musangano. Izvozvi tiri nguva yemaelection, vanhu vanoziva ndanga ndiri PC muno muHarare province. Izvozvi tichitobuda muno, ibasa ratofanira kuti tindoita paground. Tagara tiri kutozviita mwedzi yapfuura yese kukambenera musangano kuti vanhu vavhotere ZANU PF. Harare province inofanira kunakidza kana kunakirwa nekuvapo kwangu inini semumwe comrade wavo, tichishanda pamwe chete. Kune zvakawanda comrade spokesperson zviri kutaurwa nevanhu mumagari vemuHarare, kunyanya yepoor service. Kune nyaya yemalicense, mukatarisa mutauni maita zvimashopu zvidiki. License yacho iri kungofananidzwa izishopu zihombe, mari yaro $600 nekashopu kadiki. Zvinhu zvinonga zvida kuti zvigadziriswe zviite kuti vanhu vagari muHarare vanakirwe, vakwanise kuita business ravo zvakanaka. So ndezvimwe zvezvinhu zvinokuti musangano unofanira kuti utarise izvozvo wabatsire vanhu vavo. Saka isusu tiripo pakutsigira musangano wedu weZANU PF. Pega paunonga uti too much ninga tichashanda nemusangano wedu weZANU PF, hatina kubatana nezviri kuitwa nevamwe vana Kasukuwere. Isusu takazvimirira, tirimo muZANU PF, tichashanda nemusangano, ticharamba tiri pamwe chete mumusangano wedu. Ndosaka ndataura pakutanga kuti chakatisanganisa nemamwe macomrades aya iZANU PF. So handingasiyi ZANU PF kuti ero umwe munhu. Aiwa, isusu tiripo pakuramba tichishanda tiri pamwe chete. Endai munoudza president Landa Mashaya Mombe mashandiro andaingoita kudhara kana kuti ataingoita kudhara iwayo, tatovanduza katatu kushandire party kuti zvinhu zvedu zviende mberi. We believe in leadership yaComrade Mnangagwa and the whole Politburo and the structures as a party. So tinoda kushanda tiri pamwe chete kuitira kuti tisunungure nyika. Chandoda kuti ndibate futi inyaya yekuti zviri kuitwa navaMnangagwa ndizvo zvagara zvichichemerwa kana kuti zvanga zvichichemerwa nevanhu muZimbabwe, especially kutarisa nyaya yeeconomic development, infrastructure development, freedom of association and assembly. Izvozvo zvinhu zvatinoda kuti zvinge zvichinyatso kutaurwa navanhu kuti izvi zvinhu tiri kuzviona zviri kuti zviri kuitika. Saka inyaya yakakosha yaticharamba tichiparidza kuti akomana izvi ndizvo zvinhu zviri kuchemerwa navanhu muZimbabwe, izvi ndizvo zviri kuitwa. So what is the need or the reason yekuramba uchirwisa munhu ari kuita zvakanaka zvamunosvira kuti zvinge zvichiitwa? President vari kuita basa rakakura. Ndakanga ndiri pambudzi apo, munoziva ndokuconstitution kwangu apo. Zvinotapira zvinhu zvatiri kuona paipa. Inyaya dzakanaka dzatinofanira kuti tinge tichitaura. Hatingawani zvese, but tiri kuona kuti nzira iri kufamba napresident waMnangagwa inzira yakanaka yatinoda tese sevana vomusangano. Saka tinokutendai utungamiri hwepati. Aiwa tiripo, ngatishandei, takasununguka anytime, any hour, kuti tishandire musangano wedu ZANU PF, ubudirire urambe uchiende mberi. Kurongeka chaiko kuri musangano ndokunogara kuchingotaurwa navanhu vakawanda. Ende ngakurambe kwakadi kwakadaro. Tinozvitenda chaizvo.
Thank you. Mazinzwa. He is speaking on behalf of Jabun, who is also come back. He is also speaking on behalf of Comrade Mashange, who is also come back.
Yes.
You know Comrade Butau is a candidate. These are many who have come back.
Yes.
I also just want to put a matter of record. Comrade Dokora is not a returnee. He never left the party. But he was former minister. He's also actively working within the party. Just that he was not, these are returnees, but he is not a returnee. Sorry. So it's a whole class of people. Some are returnees, some of them had gone quiet within the party, or some of them had failed cold within the party. But the atmosphere which is being created by President Mnangagwa is making them all feel wanted. And they are releasing a lot of energy. Pane energy, and energy iri kuparaza triple C rebasa, because once and for all, particularly in my elections, this party which was set up, which has been abandoned by its sponsors, which is no longer enjoying the status of the detractors of ZANU PF, we have since become admirers of our president. Anna Branson to visit us in tourism Zimbabwe. These are hard hitters of the global tourism industry. It means the message your president says is permeating every corner at national, at regional, and at global level. I want to thank you for all your patience to listen to us. It was a long press conference. We wanted to update you. As I indicated, we will be doing it more regularly because the election campaign is officially on. We will find time to pay a brief, but I am ready to entertain questions on any issue. This is where an open field. Apana chatinoteta kupindura. Tibvunze. Kana zvamunofunga chaizvo kuti zvese tinopindura. Bvunzei.
Yes, over to you. If you have any questions to engage the spokesperson, and also I think thank you very much, Comrade Mashema.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. Maybe just a special announcement. Comrades, I appeal to you, our colleagues from the media, in the absence of the spokesperson, or in the absence of myself, when you go to rallies, especially rallies where senior leaders of the party will be the guest of honor, please, I appeal to you to work very closely with security details in charge of programs there to avoid the unnecessary.
No, it's the other way. We are going to engage the security details to make sure that you are accommodated.
Yes.
We don't want to put you, to put the burden to you.
Yes.
So, you know, we are going to talk to the security details. If there are any people who have been mistreated or otherwise from a security rallies, but we are going to engage with the security people. I'm the information man, and to make sure that you get your due courtesies. But what we may also want now to do is to ask for a courtesy bus.
Yes.
So that we may end up kumarari tokupa vanoda vamwe vanoda kuzoendera because mukakwira bhazi rimukazonzi matengwa neZANU PF hatikurambidzei hatikumanikidziri kukwira bhazi redu. Asi we are going to ask to arrange through the party for a courtesy bus starting from Harare kuti kwese kumarara president muuye.
Yes.
And then it will also be easier to handle the issues which is raising.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Yes. So the questions, over to you. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm the top leader in Marsh West. We are working together with the political commissar to shift it to Chinoi because for convenience. You know, Marsh West is a big province. It stretches all the way to Sanyat. it stretches all the way to Muzwezwe and Manizi. So if we do it in Chinoi, it's a T-junction for those people coming from the south. To make them drive again another 80 to 100 kilometers to Chinoi, it's a little bit long. So we want to shift it to Chinoi, but also Chinoi is a tried and tested venue. Yeah, but also it can also welcome people from the north, from the bordering area with much central. They can also vanova mutora shanga vanouya kuChinoi. So it's much more central, Chinoi. So I think the most likely venue will be Chinoi.
Yes, another question? Yes, over to you.
Vasarudzi vemuZimbabwe musi wa 23 August mune mukana wekuti muvhotere bato reZANU PF maererano nekugona kwaro kwariri kuita kuvandutsa nyaya dzezveupfumi muZimbabwe. Wonai zviri kuitika kune nzvimbo dzinotongwa neZANU PF kumaruzevha. Vanhu vari kuwana makungundangu emari vachitengesa fodya. Migwagwa iri kuvakwa kuti zvavanorima nezvavanopfuwa pamwe chete nezvicherwa zviende kumisika pasina kushushikana, kusina nhamo. Nenzira yekuvakwa kuri kuitwa marodzi navamunangagwa. Madhamu ari kuvakwa kuti vanhu vakwanise kurima oli gore rese, kuti gohwo ravo rikure. Pfumvudza yaendeswa kumaruzevha ichiseenzesa pfungwa dzakapinza nezvesayensi kuti munda kadiki kakwanise kupa gohwo rinoraramisa mhuri gore rese. Zviri kuitika kumigodhi yegoridhe, zviri kuitika yezvo nezuro kucabinet koromo yakavhurwa zvakare kuti vechidiki vakwanise kuchera koromo vaitengese. Yakawandisa munyika muno for 300 years. Izvi zvese zviri kuvandutsa maruzevha. Chipai mutsaukano uri kuitwa kumataundi kwatongwa makore 22 anoraudzira Triple C neMDC. Hakuna kana chiri kuitwa chine musoro ikoko. Vanhu varongozvivakira, varongozvipa mastendi makanzira acho. Vanotora maretsi enyu vachizvipa mari, vachienda kumakonferensi asingapere, kumahotera, masemina ekuplana asingapere vachidya mari idzodzo. Imi hamuna kana chamuri kuona, makatsamirana piro dzenyu kumarukisheni uku. Piro dzenyu ave marubbish pits. Nhunzi dzichingomomana. Matraki achiuya usiku kuzodira china kwamunorara. Hamuchagona kana kudhiraivha motikari dzenyu matauni angoma potholes. Kukanaya mvura undoona motikari yanyura mupothole kunge yanyura mudziva. Asi matauni iwayo ari kuvakwa neMDC. Kana mvura yapera hakuchina kana tara, rave dust riri kuenda kumamisha kwenyu. Choenda mataundi anofanira kunge ari ane maindastry. Taundi basa rayo rakasiyana neruzevha, kunofanira kunge nemafactory anoita kuti vana vanawane mabasa ekuseni kwega vomuka vachigeza vachienda kumabasa vachienda kumataundi. Ukashaya kuisa maindastry mumataundi wafananidza taundi neruzevha. Saka mataundi edu ese angoma ruzevha achitongwa neMDC Triple C for 22 years. Hatisatamboona kana one day Chamisa akamira nabusinessman. Uko hamunangagwa zvigunwe zvakutoita mhoni nechigero vachitendera vachivhura mafactory akasiyana-siyana ari kusapotwa neZANU PF. Kwedu kuChegutu David Whitehead yatodzoka yakuvaka kuti iite futi modern cotton industry ichidaidzwa nekuda kutapa mabusinessmen kuri kuitwa naMunangagwa. KwaChamisa hakuna anongotsvagana naMwari. God is in it. God is in it. Ndo anotsvaga. Asati ambomuona God is in it amavakira factory. Because factory kana Mwari achida kuvaka anouya kumabusinessmen ari kutsvagwa naMunangagwa. Toenda airport ari kuvakwa matsva neZANU PF. iri kuita mashura kuita modernize our infrastructure across the country. Zvino imiwe mumatown mungarambe muchivhotera ngomwa dzeMDC pane nyaya dzedevelopment. Ingomwa idzi hapana chavakupai for 22 years. Ndakafara vekuHarare Mbari ndakatambira vice president Chiwenga zvine mutsindo vachikutaura kuti taida kuti tinadzire mahositeri ekuMatapi triple C ikaramba. Iye zvino iri kusvotora mari dzenyu, iri kushonongorai zvisinorwadza zvachose, ichingodhimanda ichingoti tipei $600 kumashopu enyu madiki diki kunge makuru. Varuda kutsvaga mari yema-elections. Asi kana vaina mupawa mukavati matadza basa, so ntatadziswa kuti ZANU PF iri kutitadzisa. Zvino kana uchigona kunotsvaga vhoti usingazogona kutonga uchisvika ZANU PF, wadii kuchingorega hako ngovhoterwa. Tosiya kuti ZANU PF ndo inonzi yatadza iwosi pachigaro. So tiri kukumbirisa vanhu vomatauni rwendo runojekai semajekera aita vamwe vanhu vese mumaziso kuti maMunangagwa nezvirongwa zvavo zviri kuvandutsa upenyu hwevamangwana vevana vemuZimbabwe nekuvaka ikonomi, upfumi uchaita kuti vana vemuZimbabwe vanakirwe nenyika yavo. Pachamisa hakuna izvozvo, vanongotatapurana, vanongorwa yezvomakama akabatana manyembe vachirwisana naBiti. Takatarisa hakuna kwedu, hakuna fight dzakadaro kuZANU PF. aMunangagwa nePolitburo yavo vanofamba pamwe vakabatana kuti Triple C basa ringotatapurana vachingorwa chete. Munovadii vanhu vane mupanyamanya vasina chavanokupai kuti murarame. Thank you so much. Pamunoenda kunovhota musi wa23 vanhu mumadhorobha, chiuyai kubato rine rakajeka ramangwana revemuZimbabwe nderaMunangagwa naivo sapresident neZANU PF iri pachigaro ichitonga kuti Zimbabwe ibudirire. Ndatenda.
Thank you very much. Yes, tell me how.
Munhu anokosha zvikuru muZANU PF ndi President Mnangagwa. Kana vataura kuti hakuna violence, hazvina basa kuti unozviona sani muZANU PF. Unoteerera zvataurwa nani naPresident. Saka kana paine vamuri kuona iva vachiita izvozvo vari kutsaudzira. Zvekare kana vari kutsaudzira, musatete kunovaripota kumapurisa nenzira kuti vanonzi vakuru. Endai munovaripota vaisirwe tinoda kuti kana munhu anzi aita chakati ngachipinde pane vanhu vane kodzero pamutemo pane nyaya dzerunyararo, mapurisa ngavaende vanoripota. Chinotirwadza ndechekuti vamwe vanhu vanongonzi tarwadziwa woenda kumanewspaper wonotaura majournalist. Toitanga kubvunzwa kuno kunzi nejournalist ati kwaitikwa violence. Mapurisa haana record. Isusu vekuZANU PF tingori private citizens. Hatigone kuchaja vanhu nemhosva dzakadaro kana munhu asina kunoita sei, asina kunoripota kumapurisa. Saka chikumbiriso changu chekutanga ndechekuti musatye munhu wemuZANU PF kuti akamira sei kana aita mhosva dzeviolence. Ari kutyora mutemo wenyika chekutanga. 2, haasi kuteerera president wake vari kuti havadi kuda violence. President vedu vadiwa nezvakanaka zvavari kuita muno muZimbabwe, muno munharaunda yeZimbabwe nepasi rose. Ndimuramba tsvina, havasi kuda zvetsvina pamaelections aya, vada kunonzi clean victory. Saka havanei nevanhu vari kuita violence, vakangozviita chete. Reportai.
Another question?